My findings. Upon consideration of the evidence received during the course of these proceedings, the court finds as follows. Section 16(1). Although no bodies have been recovered, the evidence proves beyond a reasonable doubt that the 3 deaths have occurred. Section 16(2). A. As to the identity of the 3 deceased persons. 1. Solomon Miranda, male, ID number 790819 5578 080. 2. Yvonne Manisi, female, ID 861027 0461 088. 3. Pretty Winnie Nkambule, female, ID 941221 1311 087. B. As to the cause or likely cause of death, in light of the evidence presented during the proceedings in respect of the nature of the lamp room structure and the possibility that the staff members had been in their tea room at the time of the incident, the court determines that the deceased persons passed away at the time of the collapse and that the sheer weight of the rocks and the debris during the mine collapse had caused their instant death. As to the date of death, number C, 5 February 2016 at 8:05 in the morning. D. As to whether the death was brought about by any act or omission, prima facie involving or amounting to an offence on the part of any person, I find the deaths were brought about by the omission of the employer and or mine owner and or mine management to do a proper assessment as required by Section 11 of the Mine Health and Safety Act to determine the possible hazard the crown pillar might have posed to the structures and employees on top of the backfill, and to assess the associated risks in connection therewith, thereby failing to put into place the necessary reasonable measures to mitigate the risk and or to regularly and effectively monitor the risk in order to contain it. In addition thereto, the failure of the South African Police Services and the Department of Minerals and Energy to assist the Lily Mine management in their efforts to combat illegal mining and or to effectively and constructively address the problem of illegal mining, thereby failing their constitutional duties. Section 18 review. The finding that the deaths had indeed occurred will be submitted to the High Court for review in terms of the provisions of Section 18(1) and 18(2) of the Inquest Act. After confirmation or correction on the review, the finding shall have the same effect as if an order by the High Court was issued that the deaths of the deceased persons concerned should be presumed in accordance with the finding. Section 17. In terms of the provisions of Section 17 of the Inquest Act, the record of the proceedings will be forwarded to the Director of Public Prosecutions to consider the possibility of instituting criminal proceedings.
Mr. McKenzie, your reaction to the judgment?
Well, first of all, I'm delighted that it's finally happened. I think not only are we delighted that the judgment is handed down in the inquest, but the families must be extremely relieved after 7 long years.
And what do you say about the fact that the magistrate is saying that the mine could be held liable for what has happened here?
Well, I think that the findings are that there was a failure to complete a risk analysis, but quite frankly, we had a very professional and experienced team, and we don't think that that's the major issue here. The major issue, as you know, is that the cause of the accident has been determined to have been caused by illegal mining. The zama-zamas were prevalent. It's a scourge in the entire country. certainly in Barberton. And I think the fact that we've got closure on that is very good. I'd like to take the opportunity as well, though, to congratulate and commend the magistrate on an extensive investigation. I think she did an incredible job under incredible difficult circumstances. We know the complexity of this matter. The Lily mine has been in people's minds for over 7 years. And as the employer and the owner of the mine, it's of great concern to us. So, of course, has been the death of the 3 families, or the 3 family members. So, Magistrate van der Merwe should be commended for investigating it together with her 2 assessors in a hugely comprehensive way. The way that she's examined every single possibility, left no stone unturned, is really, I think, a great advantage or a great comfort to all South Africans. For me, she's illustrated the difficulty of operating a gold mine in South Africa today, in that she's exposed the sort of ineptitudes of some of the state institutions like the SAPS and the NPA for not dealing with illegal mining as it should have been dealt with and should be dealt with. She's made a whole lot of recommendations as to what should be done, and we certainly support those recommendations and will work with the authorities so that we can get better control over the actual, I suppose, scourge of this process of illegal mining.
So after this outcome of the inquest, do you perhaps think that you could have done things much better?
I really don't, Mweli. I can tell you that we might have come in for some criticism for having done more, but we had 2 security companies. We reported illegal mining to the DMR and the SAPS as long ago as 23 years ago. We've had no response and no help from the state institutions. Our 2 security companies have not been vigilante at all. They've been extremely responsible. They've done a great job in controlling the illegal mining within our operations. And yes, I think that the statement was made that this is a very small little part of the illegal mining in South Africa, but it's illustrated how big the problem really is.
From here, where to? From here, where to?
Where to from here? Well, we look forward, quite frankly, to the reopening of the mine. We hope that that's imminent now. I think this judgment and ruling today provides a lot of clarity for everybody, not only me, but the families. But let's not for 1 minute forget about our ex-employees, our workers, who've suffered hugely for 7 years with no work and no employment. Where to from here? We want to get the mine opened, we want to start creating the jobs, we want to put the past behind us, and we want to move forward. We believe that the Lily mine can still provide a great source of employment and opportunity for obviously those people that will be employed, but their families and the greater community in the Louisville area.
Judgment.
The judgment is a searing indictment of the employer, the mine, and the authorities, including the Department of Mineral Resources and the South African Police Services. Fundamentally, the inquest magistrate attributes the collapse to uncontrolled illegal mining that weakened the pillar and led to its collapse. And she is excoriating of the authorities for allowing that uncontrolled process to go on for so many years, that it led to the deaths of these workers. In fact, she says that the conduct of the authorities violates the constitutional rights of the workers and the wider community as well, due to the danger and the harm that they are creating. In respect of the mine, she also notes that there has been a failure on the part of the mine to comply with the provisions of the Mine Health and Safety Act. She says they should have foreseen the risk of the collapse, and they should have foreseen that that collapse would have catastrophic consequences for the workers who who were right there in the vicinity. She points out that the risk had been identified by experts hired by the mine. She points out that there had been plans to move the access to the mine and to move the lamp house where the 3 deceased were. But that didn't take place. And she says that decision was informed in part by profitability, by money. And she finds that failure to do a risk assessment and to take steps to protect the workers against this collapse is prima facie a criminal offence, and she's referring that to the National Prosecuting Authority. In relation to the deceased themselves, one of the things she does that I think will bring some comfort to the families is she finds that they died immediately. So when the mine collapsed and the container was swallowed up under the ground, the weight and the force of these rocks and the expert evidence that she has heard says that they died immediately. They were not trapped underground for days, as many of us had feared. I hope there's a response from the DMRE. I hope there's a response from the police. And I hope there's a response from mining companies generally to take more care and to look after the health and safety of their workers. I hope that this brings some comfort and some closure to the families after this 7-year ordeal, which hopefully is now over.
Do you think the NPA will go ahead and then possibly you guys will be able to even sue the DMR, the police, and even the company itself, because they were held liable for pretty much for the death of the people?
Well, what is your prospects of civil actions against the employer are limited by the Workers' Compensation Act, which prevents that happening. But from this judgment, the way that the magistrate sees it is that the authorities were in contravention of their constitutional duties owed to the 3 deceased. And that does create a basis for civil liability. I think it's trite law that a violation of somebody's, if you violate your constitutional duties and that leads to the death of somebody, you can be held liable. So the possibility of a claim against the DMRE and the South African Police Services clearly emerges out of this judgment. Whether it's going to be done, whether it's practical, whether it's feasible, whether it's affordable is another question. But certainly that door has been opened.
Ngokomthetho kuyavela kuyashiwo ukuthi washona ngalelo langa
And that they were crushed by the rocks.
ukuthi futhi bagcizelela uMaji.
They were not living for days in the it was crushed. Everything was crushed. So they did not suffer.
So abazange bakhuphe.
She says that the reason that the mine fell
Sizathu futhi Magistrate sizathu ngemayini siyithile.
is because she says that the Zamazamas were digging the pillar that was carried.
Futhi bezamazama ke bembalele.
You're the spokesperson for the family.
Families, that's correct.
How is everybody feeling about today's court findings?
No, we're feeling grateful because this is all we've been waiting for all along. It's long overdue. Yet there's only one part of which is so sensitive for us as the families to be told that our loved ones are no more. But it's fair enough, the judgment. That's why we really welcome it, because it will see us moving forward. Because remember, 2017 inquiry, DMRE made recommendations for the mine manager to be prosecuted. Unfortunately, NPA say they cannot prosecute now up until the missing people are found. So today it will open for prosecution, and again it will open up for our government spheres to come and intervene, because we've been calling for the governmental intervention. Unfortunately, the response from our government was that they cannot now intervene because the issues in court. The day before yesterday, the Constitutional Court rejected the appeal. So there are no more courts now. The ball is in the PRP's hands to convene the creditors' meeting and let the creditors decide the future of the money. It's the same judgment that was said by Judge Rilofse on 2019. But we're dealing with appeal and appeal, so that's why we welcome the judgment. And again, we've been saying that our government is doing little. It was giving us a lip service. That's what, not me today, but the court saying that DMRE should have done better than this. So we are excited about the judgment because we are seeing that now we are going to move.